Good evening and thank you for joining us. Canada's new Minister of Mental Health and Addiction says she understands that Thunder Bay is dealing with a crisis.
Yara Sachs met this week with local agencies and overdose prevention groups to discuss how the federal government can help. Jessica Clement reports.
Canada's newly appointed Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, Yara Sachs, came to Thunder Bay to understand more about the city's concerning overdose and addiction rates. She was appointed by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in late July, and she came here to speak to community organizations and local leaders about their concerns in the city.
Thunder Bay is one of the hardest hit communities in Ontario when it comes to the opioid crisis in terms of the number per 100,000. We just finished a roundtable meeting with community organizations and leaders from all over the area who are really front and center in working together in combating the crisis. And that's where federal government comes in to partner with these groups and with the province to make sure that we're throwing everything we have in our resources and toolbox to help those who are in need.
Sachs says she was blown away by the dedication of those working to battle addictions and stop overdoses in the city. She says one thing local officials are looking for are ways the government can work with those on the front lines of the opioid crisis to get help out into the community.
They know the work on the ground, and we're here to learn from them, to take that back. And programs like SUAP, so there's about 105 SUAP programs throughout Ontario, a number in Thunder Bay, including at Norwest, that allow us to really look at what works best in helping those who are struggling with substance abuse.
Sachs adds that another thing her government will be looking into is how to ensure mental health and addiction services are available for Indigenous people who live in the city and in remote communities.
I think there are more approaches that we can be looking at, working in collaboration with Indigenous services to recognize that we need a more holistic approach of understanding that First Nations communities do move between reserve and off-reserve, and how do we ensure that there's a continuum of care and services for them no matter where they choose to live, that we're wholly committed to working with them to find best solutions.
This year's Overdose Prevention Day will take place this Thursday at Patterson Park, starting at 11 a.m. Jessica Clement, TVT News.
The family of an elderly Fort Frances woman who died in 2015 is calling on the province to investigate the hospital where it happened. 76-year-old Hermina Fletcher died after a nurse falsified a morphine dosage in order to feed her own addiction. 38-year-old Lindsay Coyle is currently awaiting sentencing in the case after pleading guilty last year to criminal negligence causing death. It happened at the Lavendrey Hospital in January of 2015. Fletcher's family is now calling on the Ford government to launch an investigation into the healthcare facility, as they believe other families may have been victimized by Coyle as well. The family's lawyer, Doug Judson, says Fletcher's death has shaken the community's confidence in the hospital, and he says Fort Frances residents need to know who was at risk or was harmed, how this occurred and for how long, and what measures are in place to prevent it from happening again.
A 37-year-old local man who was arrested earlier this month for aggravated assault after he allegedly attacked a man with an edged weapon at a Northside hotel has had the charge upgraded to attempted murder. Police say Nicholas Morris attacked the victim unprovoked back on August 5th, sending the other man to hospital with serious injuries. Morris remains in custody and the investigation continues.
Lakehead University is celebrating a record number of international students this school year.
The school hosted a Welcome Day event this morning at the LU hangar to give the students their first chance to get to know one another and the school. Lee Noonan was there.
Roughly 400 international students attended the Welcome Day event at the Lakehead University hangar. Many arrived in the country only days before, and more are still en route to Canada.
You are part of a record-breaking number of international students starting at Lakehead. This fall, we are welcoming over 500 new international students from over 80 countries.
The event is a celebration of diversity and an opportunity for the university to make the incoming students feel welcome.
This is my favorite day of the year other than convocation. It's fantastic to see so many young, wonderful people from around the world choosing Lakehead.
The event is also an opportunity for students to meet fellow classmates as well as staff and faculty while getting a crash course in what to expect while at Lakehead.
This is the best experience I've ever had, and I'm really enjoying this. All the faculty and the volunteers have been very helpful and I'm really enjoying it.
And you're making friends.
Yes, definitely. I have just met them and they are my friends. My coordinator is my friend. Everyone is very helpful here.
This is my first time being around so many people of other races and other ethnicities, so I'm excited.
I'm excited to meet new people and learn about their culture.
I'm excited to get to study somewhere outside my country.
Actually, I've never seen snow, so I know in Thunder Bay, sometimes the lowest temperature will be 40 degrees Celsius, so I don't know what would be happen. Yes, that would be challenging.
The weather isn't the only challenge international students will face. They're also learning to navigate everything from Canada's immigration system to Thunder Bay public transit. One of the big challenges is finding affordable housing. Although most students do have a place to live, some are struggling. We spoke with one student who's staying in an Airbnb with her young family and still looking for stable accommodation.
We're trying in many ways to support students in finding housing, but it's a challenge right now. The supply and demand are colliding and there's not quite enough spaces apparently.
Aldrich is appealing to empty nesters or anyone else in Thunder Bay who has a spare room to open their homes to an international student. They can reach out to Lakehead International or go directly to the student housing webpage. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Premier Doug Ford and Housing Minister Steve Clark are rejecting opposition calls for Clark to resign.
Those calls come after a damning new report over the government removing protected Greenbelt land for development. The province's Integrity Commissioner found that Clark violated the Integrity Act in the government's controversial Greenbelt land swap. The commissioner found that Clark failed to oversee the land selection process, which resulted in certain developers' interests being furthered improperly. NDP leader Marit Stiles says Clark needs to be removed from his position.
We need to call it what it is, corruption. It's been clear to us that Mr. Clark needs to resign. We've been calling for that for 3 weeks since the Auditor General's report was released. Now it's time that the Premier needs to do his job and kick him out of cabinet.
A Hill Street resident managed to escape a basement fire early this morning, thanks to a working smoke alarm. Thunder Bay Fire Rescue was called around 4 a.m. 6 pumpers, an aerial ladder, and a command unit remained on scene for about 2 hours. The cause of the blaze is now under investigation. Fire officials want to remind everyone of the importance of properly working smoke alarms.
The photo of a Thunder Bay boy will be featured under the bright lights of New York City next month as part of the annual Down Syndrome video campaign in Times Square. This photo of 7-year-old Darius Fitzgerald will be displayed on the big screen at the famous intersection in Manhattan. It was selected out of 2,400 entries in the Down Syndrome Society's worldwide call-out for photos. The 1-hour video will showcase 500 photographs to promote the value, acceptance, and inclusion of people with Down syndrome. Darius is the only known case in the world to be diagnosed with Down syndrome and a terminal disease called NF2. His parents, Andre and Danielle Fitzgerald, say it's amazing to show Darius's infectious smile and personality on a huge stage for the world to see.
It's very exciting because Darius, having Down syndrome and being chosen across the world, just for a smile to be shown, what a happy boy he is and how excited he is to live life. It's just unbelievable. It's a very exciting feeling knowing that he's been chosen, amongst so many people, to have that picture shown in Times Square.
The full video will be shown on the jumbo screen on September 9th from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. and will be live streamed on the National Down Syndrome Society Facebook page.
A longtime Thunder Bay food service wholesaler will be closing its doors on September 15th after 60 years in business. Louden Brothers Wholesale on Athabasca Street was purchased in 2012 by Calgary-based Wallace & Carey, which agreed to keep the original name here. That parent company recently filed for bankruptcy, leaving 36 local employees out of work. The senior vice president of the company says they're committed to providing full outplacement services to their staff who have been forced to look for work elsewhere as a result of the closure. The 23,000 square foot warehouse in the East End is in the process of being put up for sale.
An Alberta man who's become a social media sensation drew a huge crowd to an informal meet and greet in Thunder Bay last night. More than 200 people came to the Walmart parking lot on Dawson Road for the chance to buy merchandise and get their photo with Sean Umscheid, who's better known as the What No Way guy. He currently has more than 4 million followers on TikTok and nearly 2 million on Facebook. Umscheid's videos offer a funny look at a variety of simple life hacks, such as getting rust off a metal ornament or opening a padlock with a pair of hammers.
Sean, what was your reaction when you saw the crowd here in Thunder Bay?
What? No way. It's pretty crazy. I can't believe this many people showed up today. Like, we just posted this yesterday, so it's pretty wild.
What do you think the hook is? Obviously your catchphrase, but just your whole attitude, do you think?
Yeah, just a good attitude. I don't get into politics, nothing like that. It's just, I'm just having fun.
Can you help explain why this fellow's so popular?
Because he takes the simplest life hacks and he explains them to you, and he's absolutely hilarious the way he does it. It just makes you want to watch everything and learn everything that this guy has to say. He'll make you laugh every time.
Umscheid's videos can be found on Facebook and TikTok under his nickname, the What No Way guy.
The regular Tai Chi session on Thunder Bay's waterfront had some extra participants last night. Some feather friends decided to join the session led by Tai Chi master Peng Yu.
Thunder Bay Geese, join me for Tai Chi. Okay, move, come on, go. Okay, go. Yes. Keep moving.
Canada geese are regular visitors at the marina, but last night a large number of them decided to gather at the Tai Chi section of the park. So rather than shoo them away, the Tai Chi master instead tried to get them to participate. The final Tai Chi session of the summer will be held at 7:30 tomorrow morning. There's no word on whether the geese have been invited to attend.